Learning objectives. After completing this digital module, learners will be able to understand the concept of human resource, human capital formation, and human development, comprehend the salient sources of human capital formation, understand the differences between physical and human capital formation, learn the direct relations between the human capital formation in a country and the economic growth of the region. Learn about the steps taken during 5-year plan periods by the Union government to develop the human capital in India. Learn the perspectives of the opportunities and scopes of India to be grown as a knowledge economy in recent future. Learn about the clear distinctions between human capital formation and human development. Understand the real scenario of the development of human capital formation in the country. Learn about the education sector and its development in India. Comprehend the government's effort and increase of governmental expenditure in the education sector during post-independence period. Understand the future prospects in relation with human capital formation in the country, right to education, gender equity, and the advantages of higher education. Sources of human capital. What is human capital? Human capital is a quantification of the economic value of a worker's skill set. This measure builds on the basic production input of labor measure, where all labor is thought to be equal. The concept of human capital recognizes that not all labor is equal and that the quality of employees can be improved by investing in them. The education, experience, and abilities of employees have economic values for employers and for the economy as a whole. Economist Theodore Schultz first invented the term human capital during 1960s to reflect the value of human capacities. Sources of human capital formation. Other than the investment in education, there are some additional sources too, which are regarded as important in human capital formation. They are investment on health beside education, life job professional training, migration and job prospect and other educational training information. As the source of human capital formation, the health facilities and services, broadly conceived to include all expenditure that affect the life expectancy, strength and stamina, and the vigor and vitality of the people. Secondly, in the on-the-job trainings, including 8-type apprenticeships, as organized by several firms, the companies want to develop their human capital viewing the ways of enhancing production at the completion of requisite training. Migration of trained laborers and the importance of information. Many young people migrate to cities in search of prospects and jobs, and sometimes the technically qualified people migrate to developed countries for better prospect. The betterment in their lives is proved far greater than the cost of their migration. On the other hand, the expenditure being done for acquiring information relating to the labor market is also a source of human capital formation. Human capital and physical capital. What is physical capital? Cash, real estate, equipment, and inventory are the examples of physical capital. Physical capital values are listed in order of solvency on the balance sheet. The balance sheet provides an overview of the value of all physical and some non-physical assets. It also provides an overview of the capital raised to pay for those assets, which includes both physical and human capital. Intangible and tangible assets. Intangible assets are non-physical capital. A balance sheet only lists intangible assets when they have identifiable values. Intangible assets can't be touched, but they are often represented by a legal document or paper. Human capital is represented by more than the company brand. Harvard University is not Harvard University because of its crimson logo. The value of Harvard University is in its human capital. Human capital includes the knowledge base of the employees and is often measured by the quality of the product. It also refers to the network of the employee base and the general level of influence they have on the industry. Differences between physical and human capital. Unlike physical capital, which is easy to find on the balance sheet, the value of human capital is often assumed. In addition to the goodwill, analysts can value the impact of human capital on operations with efficiency ratios such as return on assets, that is ROA, and return on equity, that is ROE. Where in case of physical capitals, the depreciation is high. If new technology is arrived, the old machines have been outdated. Investors can also determine the value of human capital in the markup on products sold and the industry premium on salary, but for a machine, it is valued during its inception only. Human capital and economic growth. As an economic concept, human capital is at least 2 centuries old, but its incorporation into the mainstream of economic analysis and research is a new and lively development of the past 2 decades. Fisher's definition of capital as any asset that give rise to an income stream requires the inclusion of human capital, even if it cannot be bought and sold. It is of course rented, and even though investments in such capital often involve non-market activities, but non-market activities are not necessarily extra-economic. Investment on education, school and post-school. Initially, the investment in school education has been the subject of almost exclusive attention by human capital analysts. The educated have higher earnings, but the earnings are not fixed. They grow over the working life, albeit at a decelerating pace. This growth is additional to and largely independent of economy-wide trends in earnings. These patterns of growth also differ among persons whose education is similar. Empirical economic research indicates that the relation between schooling and post-school investment is positive. More educated people invest more in the labor market. The ability and opportunity factors, which induce individuals to have more schooling, affect their post-school behavior. Similarly, even though the correlation is far from strict, where the abilities and opportunities change over the life cycle. Human capital and technology. Human capital activities involve not merely the transmission and embodiment of available knowledge in people, but also the production of new knowledge, which is the source of innovation and of technical change. In a fundamental sense, modern economic growth is a result of the scientific revolution, that is, of the growth of systemized scientific knowledge. Human capital formation in India. India possesses a huge size of human resources. In order to transform the liability of this huge size of population into assets, adoption of various measures for human capital formation is very much essential. The term human capital formation implies the development of abilities and skills among the population of the country. In order to develop various sectors of the economy, the country should introduce manpower planning for the development of its human resources. Manpower planning in the sector of human resources. Manpower planning indicates planning of human resources for meeting the development needs of the economy. Just for the proper utilization of manpower resources, the country should impart proper education to its population and train its labor force in technology, engineering, management, medicine, and in many other fields connected with the development of various sectors of the economy. The most important factor in human capital formation is the development of top skills. As this skill formation is a time-consuming process, the entire process of human resource development demands a long-term policy. India's growth story. India has become successful in training a number of scientific and technical manpower in the country during the last 3 decades. The total number of such manpower increased from 188,000 in 1950 to 7,840.2 thousand in 2000. Moreover, the growth rate of scientific manpower during the decade 1950-60 was to the extent of 9.1% per annum, and then the same rate increased to 10.1% during the next decade, 1960-70, in which there was huge expansion of basic and heavy industries in India. Education sector in India. The 5 years plan, started after independence, helped the growth of the country in education like other areas. However, due to some inherent weaknesses at the execution part, the expected success was not being achieved. So, in order to improve the educational setup, the government constituted 2 commissions after independence. Kothari Commission 1964 to 1966. Kothari Commission, being chaired by Mr. D.S. Kothari, then chairman of UGC, was appointed under provision of a resolution of the Government of India, dated 14 July 1964, and eminent educationists in diverse fields from India and abroad. This commission was not to limit its inquiry to specific sectors or aspects of education, but to have a comprehensive review of the entire educational system. Government expenditure on public education. As a part of the 10th 5-year plan, 2002 to 2007, Indian government outlined an expenditure of 65.6% of its total education budget of 43,800 crore rupees, that is 28,800 crore rupees on elementary education, 9.9%, that is 4,325 crore rupees on secondary education, 2.9%, that is 1,250 crore rupees on adult education, 9.5%, that is 4,176.5 crore rupees on higher education, 10.7%, that is 4,700 crore rupees on technical education, and the remaining 1.4%, that is 623.5 crore rupees on miscellaneous education schemes. We can find the increasing trend over the years and moving up from 0.5% of GDP in 2000 to 2001 to 0.9% of GDP in 2009-2010, while state's share has declined from 3.3% of GDP in 2000 to 2001 to 2.7% of GDP in 2010-11. However, the centre bears only one-fourth of the total government spending on education, whereas the rest three-fourths of the spending comes from the state governments. Future prospects, a critical analysis. Education for all, the reality. During post-independence period, the role of the Indian state construed the ideas of a somewhat welfare state. The right to education, fundamental right, under Article 21A of the Indian Constitution covering the Right to Education Act 2009 was implemented to mandate education as a compulsory right to all of its citizens. Despite all of those spending 4.18% of GDP on education during 2011-2012, it has, to some extent, failed to achieve its outcomes. This is partly because of the loopholes in the Act, but more significantly, because of the implementation failures. The present condition of gender equity in India. According to the Global Gender Gap Report released by the World Economic Forum (WEF) in 2011, India was ranked 113 on the Gender Gap Index, that is GGI, among 135 countries polled. Since then, India has improved its rankings on the World Economic Forum's Gender Gap Index, that is GGI, to 105 by 136 in 2013. In the alternate measures as included in the OECD's Social Institutions Gender Index, that is SIGI, where India ranked at 56th out of 86 in 2012, which was an improvement from its 2009 rank of 96th out of 102. Higher education in India and unemployment. The social and regional inequalities in access and quality of higher education are enormous. The gross enrollment ratio, GER, in higher education is 24.5% for boys, 22.7% for girls, 18.5% for SCs, and 13.3% for STs in 2014-15. Regarding unemployment, NSSO report states that the unemployment rate is 1.7% in rural and 3.4% in urban areas. In its previous report of 2013, unemployment rate was 1.5% in rural and 4.8% in urban areas. Summary. Let us summarize what we have learned. By the specific decision of investment on education, the growth of human capital formation can be assured where future productivity enhancement and surging in income source can be observed. Proper investment in quality education, on the job training, health, migration, and seeking specific information are the salient sources of human capital formation. The idea of physical capital is the groundstone of conceptualizing human capital formation. Only while physical capital can be sold in the market, but we can only take the service of the human capital, it can't be sold. All type of investment and encouragement in growth of future human capital formation is considered as an efficient and futuristic decision. The availability of basic education and health is considered the essential precondition for the growth of human capital, as without them, the future resource will not be able to select on the value-added choices. The percentage of expenditure on education of the total government expenditure indicates the importance of education in the scheme of things for the government. Despite during post-independence period, many policies and programs have been taken to realize the concept of education for all. There is still a long way the country need to stride on to achieve the goal of right to education.